Okay, so hi Lyn, it's so great to have you here today to speak with you about empowerment in women.
Yeah, it's a great topic, Louise, and it's a hot topic because everywhere I'm looking, there's something going on about women's empowerment.
Yeah, and it really has, I mean, it's always been around, but it really has come to the forefront in the last year or so, hasn't it? Well, for me, it has, at least.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that women are really stepping up now. There's a massive movement at the moment, and I think that we've been talking about change in corporations and in government and in communities, and we haven't seen those changes. So I think women are actually starting to recognise that empowerment is really something that we need to be carving out for ourselves and stepping up to be looking at our own sort of our own ways and pathways forwards in terms of empowerment. So, we were talking earlier on about, well, what does empowerment mean? And I think for me, empowerment is about freedom and having the freedom to choose, having the freedom to make an impact, having the freedom to step into an arena if that's something that you're passionate about, and have that the freedom to be there and the right to be there. So for me, empowerment is all about freedom. It's a funny word. When you asked me, to come on to your show and talk about it, I thought it's a word that I historically haven't really liked, because it sounds often like it's coming from outside. To empower someone means that the control's being held by something or someone else. And I guess as a bit of a free agent myself, that has been it's been an interesting word. But the reality is that our community structures and the systems that we've inherited, since the Industrial Revolution, really, and commercialisation of the Western world, we've really inherited structures that haven't necessarily enabled the kind of empowerment that I think the women's movement originally thought was going to happen right back in the 50s and 60s. And I think that's why it's actually quite a good topic to really unpack. I mean, there's women all around the world who just don't have choices and don't have freedoms. And the reality is that it's because of the systems, the structures that don't allow them to get educated, that they're still being, married under 18 in so many countries. And until those structures really enable choices for women and value women and what they bring to a community as leaders, it's a real struggle for women in those positions. So it's a great topic, Yeah,
great. Thanks, Lyn. And on that, you were just talking about, children are still getting married or having to marry very early. And so let's go back to your childhood. That's what I'm really interested in this series, to go back and see if you felt valued and confident, and has that carried you through to adulthood and your successes in adulthood. So talk to me a little bit about your childhood, your siblings, where you were in that sibling lineup, and was there someone that encouraged you and gave you that confidence and self-value as a child? Was it a parent? Was it a grandparent, an aunt? Was it your school education? Was there something, or was there nothing? Did you completely feel?
Well, my childhood was typical of a country kid, probably in Australia. In the 70s. I was the youngest of a big family, Catholic family, and I was the only daughter. I have 5 brothers. One of them's a foster brother and 4 biological brothers. Big age difference between me and the others. Mum said that she just tried not to have children. So as it happened, she had them with these massive gaps between them. There's 21 years between me and the firstborn, Rob. So, and my closest sibling, Bernie, is 8 years older than me. So by the time I was sort of going to school and sort of starting to have, opinions and views about how I wanted to live my life and how I wanted to spend my time after school, my brothers were all gone. Bernie had sort of was in high school system and went away to boarding school. So I was kind of brought up in a very different family structure than my brothers were. They talk about mum and dad being much more controlling, much more involved in their lives. When I was in grade 1, my mum started a business, so it was never a thing that mums were, couldn't go into business. Mum started a little dress shop called the Midwest Fashion Boutique in Three Springs with like a massive drapery. So, I'm sure that these experiences I had as a free-range country kid whose parents were both working, I'm sure that shaped my feelings of being the person in control, the person who makes the choices about how things are done, what projects, what clubby houses get built, who gets to do what. I kind of had a bit of a gang with my bike, and I had a girlfriend and I that down the road, we used to, set our alarms and go down to the local pool every morning before high school and swim our, 30 laps so we could beat all the Antonio cousins. And, it was a great lifestyle. And I'm sure that confidence that I got out of growing up like that, even though in a lot of ways I think about, my parents were kind of distracted, I think it was a good thing in a lot of ways. I was doted on, and being a female, the only little girl in the family, not only did mum and dad spoil me rotten, but these brothers who were like kind of uncles that used to whiz in and out of our lives would, throw me in the air. And I've got photos of us all, during the, the muscle thing that, that they would have been doing in their 20s with their big muscles as their bodies were changing. And there's little me as, 7-year-old doing it too, and it's just,
right. And that's really like I can do what you can do already.
I was never told that I couldn't do what anyone else did. In fact, it was expected because Dad was used to having all these boys. So, and Mum was caught up with the business. So Dad would expect me to do what any boy would do. I used to help him with his ducks, chopping off the heads so that it was getting ready for the Sunday roast and, playing with the gizzards. I mean, it's mind-boggling, really, what Dad expected me to do. I was his right-hand man, and I was a tomboy as a result of it. And but I had Mum dressing me up, and in all the best, latest fashions. So I was very lucky life.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've actually got 4 older brothers too, but and my eldest brother is 8 years, so there's 4 boys in that 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had them all at home with me. So even that is quite a different experience from what you had. But yeah, even your mum going to work rather than running a household. Did she always have a business? No, that was when you were in grade 1.
No, she didn't. Yeah. She was really was really dedicated to being the stay-at-home mum and providing all that support for the family. And was probably at a bit of a loss of what to do because I was at school and going into grade 1, and Dad had suggested that she do some work, I think, in their local kindergarten, which she said was just wasn't good at it. She couldn't control the kids, and she found it really horrendous. Yeah. So that didn't happen. And then we had family friends who ran the local pub, the Gaddies, and Mum and Mrs. Gaddy started up the shop. And Mum ended up running it and buying out Kay. And so, that was a massive opportunity for Mum to learn how to run a business. And with, the mentorship of a much younger friend, Auntie Kay was a lot younger, kind of the same sort of age really as my brother, to be honest, my oldest brother. And got Mum set up, and it was a great opportunity. Mum ran that shop really well. As a result, I learned all about, small business, about the importance of customer service. Mum used to take me for shopping trips. In those days, the rag trade was on King Street and Queen Street in the city. At G&R Wills, we'd traipse in and out of all those amazing, places, and down to Karen Distributors and to Silberts. And, I remember those years really well, going on shopping trips with Mum, because she'd have in mind her clients. Every single one of those women around that whole Midwest region used to come into that little shop, and they'd tell Mum if they had a special occasion coming up, and Mum would be out buying, almost like a personal buyer for them.
Yeah, and that's a dream business. It
was a gorgeous business. She had everything from after 5, as she called it, down the back of the shop to, there were the materials. There's a whole wool section on the wall. There were patterns and lingerie, babies' clothes, and there were 3 mannequins in the window that I used to get to colour theme and dress. So that was always fun.
Right. Did this lead into your marketing enthusiasm?
I'm sure it actually has influenced marketing from my, from a profession, because when I remember when I was doing my first marketing unit at UWA, and we were talking about Theodore Levitt's theory of marketing, and about the customer being central to every strategy. If you don't have the customer central, then it's just another mousetrap. It's a product centric strategy. It's not truly marketing. If the organization wants to be successful, it has to be customer centric. And I remember thinking that it resonated with me, because that was exactly how my mum ran her business. And I thought, wow, I want to do this. I want to learn more about the psychology of buying behaviour and purchasing decisions, and how organisations actually shape themselves to be very customer centric and able to change as customers' needs change. So for sure, I have no doubt that influenced me.
And then, I mean, you've been so successful in so many of your marketing consultancy side of things. Beside going to university, how did you build that that sense of, yes, I can do this, and your confidence in that? Were there other things that helped you go through those businesses and build that?
Well, I've always loved doing things with people. Even as a little kid, as a teenager, I was always organising things. I'd always be organising events and organising get-togethers and theming out things and having fancy dress parties, whatever it would be. I'd always love a theme or a project to work on. And when I was going through uni, I always had my finger in sort of other things, like working with the arts. I had quite a few friends who were artists and didn't know anything about business, so I'd be helping them with their businesses, with their exhibitions, with their marketing. When I left uni, I'd done an honours degree in R&D based industry, and so I went into tech to start off with, and I was working in Tech Park opposite Curtin Uni, where it's still there, Tech Park, and I worked for a computer programming company there, which really was amazing, because that was a great time to be in a very innovative space, and it really set me up for life, because starting your foundations in business way back then, I'm talking the mid-90s, actually starting out then around what was going on in the revolution of technology and the World Wide Web, we called it, the internet, then enabled me to get into a really awesome role at Telstra. During the deregulation, it was called Telecom. We were going through some major changes then around people can't remember this, probably a lot of young listeners on here, but they pretty much had a monopoly on the whole network and the first phone. And I was a part of the team over in Melbourne who was working on the strategy around deregulation of that, and then how we would predict, the take up of technologies, and wonderful opportunity for them to be able to work in a corporate environment. And from there I went to KPMG. So I was always looking for amazing opportunities, and had this confidence. So many of my girlfriends talk about this imposter syndrome, and maybe I was too stupid to feel it, but I just thought I was going to bring so much opportunity to every project, because I didn't think for a minute that everyone would be relying just on me. I would bring in people, always brought in people. So I've been a born collaborator, and I think that's taken a lot of pressure off me to feel like I have to come up with all the answers. I understand the processes of bringing people together, and at KPMG, I think they recognised that, and they got me formally trained in facilitation, which was an amazing skill to then be able to bring on to the next part of my career. So one of the things I love most is to get groups of people together and facilitate their strategy planning days, and then help them map out how that's going to be implemented. So to this day,
that has led into your networking, your Business Women Australia.
And yeah, well, I know it kind of did. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a bit accidental in this role, as you well know. Our gorgeous co-founder, Jennifer Bryant, had a women's group going on in WA for many, many years, and I used to love, no matter where I was at in whatever role I was doing, or with whichever firm or company I was working with, I used to love dropping in every now and then to the business women's group. And when I'd been out consulting, I'd left my last corporate role, and I rang up Jen and said, let's get something together and make this national and do something that's a bit bigger than both of us could even imagine. Let's bring some people together. And that's how Business Women Australia grew. You know, it's sort of something that I would never have done on my own. I would always look at, well, who's doing something? How can I join forces and really make something, you know, bring to the skills, you know, to bring my skills to the table and help them be better rather than go out and compete or set up something alternative.
And that's another thing about empowerment, is it's about helping others feel empowered. And from first-hand experience with, you know, when Jennifer Bryant had Women in Business WA, which became BWA, you know, I just starting my business, and, you know, she was amazing. And then, you know, I see you as well. I mentioned to everybody, you know, join Business Women Australia because it's such a great network. Serve great wine.
It is. It is amazing. And it's all built on co-creation and collaboration. I mean, I don't sit back and work out with the team what we're going to roll out every year. It's all done with our premium level members. They'll come to us with whatever it is that they want to do, how they want to do it, and we'll give it a go. You know, we'd like to partner with women who have an idea of getting something done. And so I think it's really it's a really great brand because it's owned and developed, it's driven and changes because of the women involved, and it's not a government funded entity. It's a social enterprise that's actually all shareholders are women. So we've got 5 female shareholders, and growing. We'll have more by the end of next year. And with that then comes all these amazing things that are starting now to come to fruition. You know, the original strategy that we developed is still very relevant. It's just now starting to become a reality. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, as well as, you know, you inspire and support there, but women who perhaps join that group and they're not feeling so empowered, what do you suggest to them?
Well, it's about surrounding yourself with supportive people. You know, we all need a group championing what we do and being our eyes and ears in the market, being there to help us when we're down, being able to have a laugh with us, you know, when there's things to laugh at, being able to have a cry with us when things are going wrong. But it's also about tapping into the resources that are here. I mean, we've got incredible amount of short courses that are all evidence-based courses provided by Torrens Uni that all our members can access at no cost. We've got webinars, we've got podcasts, we've got events, and there's a whole directory of community members. If there's anyone on there that people want to reach out to, these are women who've said, put their hands up and said, I'm a generous, spirited member of Business Women Australia. They will take your call. They will help you out. If you know, this is a community that supports each other. And I mean, there's no reason to be out there fretting and feeling that it's all too hard and you don't know where to go and you don't know what to do. You know, pick up the phone. You know, we're all there. And, you know, I spend quite a lot of my time just doing 30-minute calls with women all around Australia, from the regions right through to, you know, central Sydney. You know, they might be partners of law firms, or they might be running an agribusiness, or they might be just starting up, or a student of business. You know, I'll give them 30 minutes of my time if they need it. That's the reality. That's what we're all about.
That's fantastic, Lyn. And yeah, part of this series is really having some tools there for those that are listening that are feeling a little disempowered or want to be inspired. So I'm wanting to provide that for them as well. So thanks, Lyn. Yes, Business Women Australia, everybody join, come along. You can actually not even join, you just come along and try it first. Yeah, so and how could they get in touch with you, Lyn, if they did want to come along?
Well, the best way to get in contact with us is on our website, www.businesswomenaustralia.com.au. We've got a contact form on there, and that drops directly into my inbox, and I will respond to you. Have a look on our calendar of events. There are so many free online events every month, so it doesn't matter where you are, you can jump on for free and connect. We always have a bit of a chinwag and a chat. They're not streamed, they're not sort of hidden from the audience. You know, you'll get to see who else is on. A small group events. We also have in-person events which you can come along, and you don't have to be a member to go and check us out. So there's no excuses.
Yeah, thanks, Lyn. Well, I think I've deduced from your interview today is that you've been a bit of a dynamo since you are a young child, and you were heavily influenced by your mother's business.
Absolutely, without a doubt. I was influenced by both my mother's business and my father actually embodying to me that I could be and do whatever a boy does, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, that is very fortunate that I was brought up with that kind of family, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Lyn. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today, as always. So thank you so much for your time. I'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you, Louise. I really appreciate being invited.
See you, Lyn.
Bye.